UFC 318 is this weekend, my boys, and honestly, it's relatively a pretty weak card. Like, the fact that Uncle Dana wants you to cough up your nearly $100 for Kevin Holland versus Daniel Rodriguez on the main card, it's a bit ridiculous. But regardless of that, I do think it'll be an exciting card. I think there'll be a lot of finishes, a lot of high-paced bangers of scraps, and it's a solid main event that's getting us through. So in general, it is what it is. In the words of Max Holloway, it is what it is, brother. Weak card on paper, but I do feel like it's going to be a fun one to watch. And Nashville was pretty hyped up, so I feel like let's hope that carries us through. So today, I'm going to be giving y'all my full card predictions and breakdown for UFC 318 this weekend. So just starting off with the first one we got here, man. We got Bruno Ferreira taking on Jackson McVey. Now, this isn't exactly the fight that we were kind of hoping for. The original fight was going to be Bruno Ferreira versus Ikram Aliskerov, and that was, how do I fucking put this nicely? It was the much more intriguing matchup. It was a lot more close in the betting odds. It was a lot more captivating of a fight, and I feel like it was just more exciting for both sides. And this, Bruno Ferreira versus McVey, it's like when you buy a ticket for an Avengers movie, but you show up at the actual day of the show and you get Shang-Chi. Like, that's what this fight feels like, man. It's just a bit of a huge step down, and Bruno Ferreira is a massive favorite, and I'm going to be going with him as my pick for this fight, man. And specifically, like, this is one of the locks of the card. No offense to Jackson McVey, because he is 6-0, 3 knockouts, 3 submissions. This guy is going to have the big height and reach advantage here, so he's going to have the size discrepancy, if anything, on his side. And the fact that he has a lot of unknownness to him, this fight just feels like a Titan versus jobber kind of matchup here, and unfortunately McVey is the jobber, because at least on the regional scene, man, he looks good, and at least his first 6 fights, he does look solid. But Bruno Ferreira is just a powerful fucking grappler with a very high pace and a high finishing rate. So the guy, I feel like, is just going to put a heavy pressure on him from the start and really aim to take this fight to the ground or take his fucking head off, because Bruno Ferreira he's just strong in all regards, man. He's only seen round 3 once in the UFC, and it was against Abus Magomedov, who I understand isn't really the type to be exactly his strongest in a 3-round scenario, because he dies out as well. I feel like both of those guys, just cardio isn't their strong suit. But Abus Magomedov, it was 1-1 going into the third, but Abus Magomedov, he is solid. Say whatever the fuck you want about him, but he's solidly well-rounded, and he's a solid fighter who just made his way into the rankings. So it's not a terrible loss for Ferreira. It was 1-1 going into the third, but now he's coming back here with a huge step down in opponent here against McVey, who again was supposed to fight Cedriques Dumas, but who's just a literal criminal. A literal fucking, I don't really know what's going on with Dumas. I don't know the ins and fucking outs of it, but just straight up on house arrest or some shit. I don't know what the fuck is up with that, but you have McVey. He was supposed to fight at the last pay-per-view, and now he's getting this opportunity instead. He's 6-0 with all finishes, and he's only 26 years old, so there could be a bit of promise here, man. And with his explosivity, his size and reach advantage, and a lot of the unknown question marks to him, like, there's not that much footage about him, or what's going to be his game plan, or like, is he going to try and pace this one out for a 3-round back and forth? It's the UFC now, and you got to step it up and be a little bit more technical with it. You can't just run through everybody. Or is he going to go out there and just apply an insane pressure to match Bruno Ferreira's? Because I don't know, man, but regardless, I think that this fight is going to be ending in the first round regardless of whoever the fuck wins. Both these guys are big finishers, but unfortunately, with a huge experience gap, a lot of question marks that I just don't think are going to be answered in a great fucking way going against a guy as good as Bruno Ferreira, because we just don't really know how McVey faces adversity. We don't know how durable he is, and we don't really know how his cardio is, and we just don't know how he's going to perform at a UFC level. And for your debut to be opening up a pay-per-view against Bruno fucking Ferreira, I don't know if he's going to be able to get it done, man. The betting odds are pretty accurate. What we do know about Bruno Ferreira is that he's a massive fucking favorite here with a big grappling advantage, a big experience advantage, and even in the striking, he just has the precision and the power advantage over Jackson McVey. So I see his first round finish for no matter who fucking wins this fight, but I'm going to be trusting in Bruno Ferreira to get this one done clearly, man. Moving on up next to Ryan Spann versus Lucas Brzeski, bro. Another battle of the fucking Titans here, man. I'm going to be going with Ryan Spann via fighting for his fucking career, okay? Spann, he's either always getting a nice fucking finish, you know, he has a nice guillotine, people forget, man, or he's getting a knockout here and there, or he's getting that shit brutally fucking done to him. But you know, Ryan Spann fight, unless you're Anthony fucking Smith in the big old 2022, you're usually not going to the distance with Ryan Spann. He's either knocking you out or submitting you, or vice fucking versa. But this is a fight, despite the big losing streak and the losing skid that Ryan Spann is on, and he had a debut up to heavyweight that did not go so fucking well for him. But honestly, Cortez Acosta, he was the favorite for a reason. Like, he actually is a legitimately solid prospect for heavyweight. I know he's nothing fucking crazy, but people forget, man, beating Sergey Spivak is pretty solid for heavyweight fucking standards. It goes to show that he really did get past the gatekeeper of all fucking gatekeepers. So I feel like for Ryan Spann, just a rough first opponent for a heavyweight debut. It ain't no fucking Austin Lane. So at the end of the day, I feel like Lucas Brzeski is just going to be a much more winnable fight for him. Like Ryan Spann, it's been a while since he's fucking gotten the win column, but I feel like that this is an opponent where it's manageable for him to actually get a win here at heavyweight. Like the good news for Spann is that he actually does have the slight height and reach advantage here. It is very small, very fucking slight, but at the end of the day, it's fucking something. Like Cortez Acosta was kind of mounting over him a little bit, ended up knocking his ass out. But Lucas Brzeski, I mean, this guy is 1-5 in the UFC, man, and his only one win is against Valter fucking Walker, man. So, and you have Ryan Spann on the other end of things, who it's like, yeah, he's 0-1 at heavyweight, and yeah, he's just not too great in the grand scheme of things or the rankings in general. But against Brzeski, man, who is just the jobber at heavyweight that's floating outside, not even the rankings, but just at the bikini fucking bottom, man. I just feel like that's a bad look if Ryan Spann does lose this one. Like literally whoever loses this one has a good chance of getting fucking cut, unfortunately. But Brzeski being 1-5 in the UFC, man, and he does present a lot of problems early. He has really high pressure right out the gate. He's really proficient at early knockouts, but at the end of the day, man, he does get finished. His chin is very questionable. He's had poor form in general in the UFC. He's one-dimensional, and there's just nothing crazy in his game. Whereas Ryan Spann, he's a solid grappler, at least for light heavyweight and heavyweight standards. He's got a good guillotine in his back pocket, but the thing is he can actually still get subbed and out wrestled. That's the thing. Like he's on paper a solid grappler, and he does make quick work of guys sometimes in there, but he also can just get out wrestled and just outworked in there and even get submitted if he's going against a decent enough level of grappler. But I don't think Lucas Brzeski is that on the ground or on the feet, so I feel like Ryan Spann is actually going to be able to get this fucking one done. So moving on up next to Jimmy Crute, finally a favorite once again, taking on Martin Prachnio, something out of the fucking Godfather here. My pick is going to be Jimmy Crute, and the thing is, on paper, Jimmy Crute should be a very fucking good fighter, man. That's the thing. This Theo Von looking motherfucker, like the striking is pretty solid and the grappling is kind of fucking legit, but he just hasn't been able to really put everything all together. And it's unfortunate because this Theo Von motherfucker has been just so unlucky and just an unfortunate run in his past few fights in the UFC, man. Like he's been dealing with injuries on and off. He's had 2 draws in his last 5 fights, and the last one against Prado was a fantastic fight to watch. And the dude is putting on relatively entertaining performances here, man, but he just consistently keeps losing or going to these draws, and it's unfortunate because he is still young. He's 29 years old, whereas fucking Prachnio is fucking 36, so he's getting up there in age. Unk status where he's fighting for the last cigarette at the cookout. That's what we're dealing with here. But I feel like with Crute, he has enough balanced offense to really get this one done. I'm gonna be going with Crute as my pick here via a decision or a submission. He does have a bit of KO ability on the feet, but I just don't think we're gonna see that against Prachnio, who has a solid chin and alright enough chin to where I don't think that Crute is going to be able to finish him on the feet, but I feel like Crute's submission ability on the ground is going to be able to pull him through here to where maybe if it doesn't go to the judges' scorecards here, it is going to end on the ground in the favor of Jimmy Crute because he does have explosive grappling at times, and I feel like he is going to have enough of the edge down there to where he can efficiently hold down Prachnio and be able to take him down a bit here and there. Even though Crute has weak striking defense at times and can face durability issues here and there, I feel like Prachnio is just alright. Like there's just nothing really special in his game and nothing that really stands out. He has solid experience and it's solid striking. He mixes in good leg kicks and counters, but at the end of the day, he's kind of a win one, lose one fighter, and he's very vulnerable on the ground. A bit of a decision merchant in the UFC, whereas on the pre-UFC, he was fucking getting knockouts here and there, but we haven't seen too much of that. And like I said earlier, he's just getting older and older in age, where Crute is in the middle of his fucking prime, and I feel like he's at this age where he's literally one performance away from either putting it all together or getting cut from the UFC. So we're gonna have to fucking see it, but I feel like there's a reason why he is the favorite, and I found it fucking interesting. I had not to push up my glasses here and be a little fake hardcore, but I looked this up, and Crute hasn't been this big of a favorite since before of his, just, how do I even word this? His really rough losing streak, like the decline where he started winning one, losing one, and then went and lost or drawed 5 fights in a row. This is when Crute was kind of just on a bit of a win streak, shit like that. He is now as big of a favorite for this fight as he was around then. So that's a promising fucking thing here, and I understand that Crute, he isn't all that on the feet, and he has clear holes in his game, and he isn't exactly what, he's like a Jake Matthews, he's not exactly what we kind of thought he would ever fucking be, but there's still potential for it. So Jimmy Crute, though, I'm still gonna trust in him, man. He's got a big grappling advantage here. He's the more well-rounded fighter. If Prachnio can crack him early, I could see him maybe getting a fucking round 1 or 2 finish here on his side if he has the power and pressure to fucking do it, but I'm gonna be trusting in Jimmy Crute to finally get back in the fucking win column here. I swear to God, this is another draw or some shit. I don't know what the fuck to do anymore. Moving on up next to Adam Fugitt taking on Islam Dulatov. Now, this motherfucker is a hardcore's dream in Islam Dulatov, man, and he's gonna be my pick to get this one done. Another massive favorite that we have here, man, but Dulatov making his UFC debut I think this is going to be a great scrap. I feel like it's going to end in some kind of finish in the first or second round, but I feel like it's going to be high paced from the fucking start. Both these guys are heavy finishers, but Dulatov, I feel like, is just the more impressive guy here. He's just younger, faster, and just way more powerful on the feet. He's an explosive striker who's racking up a lot of shit for the highlight reel, and he's entertaining as fuck for the fans. He's on a huge streak of stoppage wins right now, and I feel like he's going to be able to continue that against Fugitt. He's going to be my pick here by a round 1 or 2 finish on the feet. His ground game is what kind of worries me because it's pretty unproven. He does have a few submissions on his record, but it's nothing too fucking crazy to the point to where I could see Adam Fugitt not too crazy in terms of relatively talent level in the UFC, but I feel like that maybe even he can be able to test Dulatov on the ground. You know what I mean? We've just seen a bit more out of the grappling exchanges and scrambles in general from Adam Fugitt to where maybe mixing in the takedowns is going to be the better move for him here, because I feel like that Fugitt, he is solidly durable, but he's also not unbreakable. He can get finished. He has been finished. And I feel like Dulatov, who's only experienced 1 loss ever, and he's trying to make a big statement for his UFC debut, he's going to be looking for a first round fucking finish on the feet. And I feel like Fugitt, it's a good UFC entry level opponent for him for his debut, because I feel like he really can't get this one done. He's a massive fucking underdog, and he's only 2-2 in the UFC, which isn't anything all that. But the thing is, his only losses are to Mike Mallet, who's a solid fucking prospect back in the win column, and Michael Morales, the literal fucking Spider-Man in the UFC, who's killing it right now and just knocked out Gilbert Burns. So he isn't losing to just the fucking jobbers of the division. You know what I mean? He's beating the prospects on their way up, and Islam Dulatov is that on paper, but we really just haven't seen much on the ground, and we haven't really seen him have any UFC level experience. So for Fugitt, he's gonna have to survive the early storm from Dulatov. He's gonna come like a bull out of the fucking gate, and he's gonna really try and just aim for the knockout. So Fugitt is just gonna try and have to survive that first round, and then when the second and third round hits, man, start mixing in the takedowns, and obviously just be on the back foot, avoid Islam Dulatov's biggest fucking shots. You don't want to get in the fucking pocket with this guy. He's dynamic and powerful on the feet, but if Fugitt can just outlast him and outwork him in there, he can get this done, but I don't think his chin is anything too crazy to the point to where he's fucking invincible in there. So Dulatov, I think that he'll be able to get a round 1 or 2 knockout here. I'm not really smelling a fraud check for this one. I'm going to be going with Dulatov as my pick here, and there's a reason why he's a massive fucking favorite. So moving on up next to Gautier taking on Robert Valentin. Now this one is ending like a fucking Tarantino flick, my boys. This one's going to be rough. I'm going with Gautier, obviously. 7-1, a literal mini Francis Ngannou that we got before GTA 6. I'm going with him here as just one of the safer bets of the card. I mean, the guy, I'm not gonna lie, there is a bit of fraud check smelling in the fucking air. Like, I could see Robert Valentin, who isn't anything too crazy in terms of talent level for the UFC. He's 0-2 in the UFC, and the people that he's losing to, I forgot who the fucking second one was, but the first one, it was like Ryan Loder or someone like that. So, and it's just nothing too fucking crazy. So Valentin, he's gonna have the grappling advantage for this fight, and he just has a bit more experience overall. Definitely a lot more losses, but at the same time, man, like, he's 7 years older in age. He's a little bit smaller in terms of his reach and height, but at the end of the day, if he does want to mix this one up on the ground, and if his chin is durable enough to really survive the early onslaught from Gautier, maybe there could be a huge fucking upset, because these scary guys who are getting crazy first round 1 knockout after knockout after knockout, it's just gonna be one of those scenarios where they face a good enough level of competition to where maybe they fucking choke and the guy is still standing in front of them and his chin is good enough to where his experience and durability is able to outlast the guy, and then Gautier loses a 29-28 decision. That could be a thing, and it might not be against Robert Valentin, but it could be against somebody in the fucking future who is durable enough and is well-rounded enough to be able to hang on the feet with Gautier, but mix in enough takedowns to really hold him down, because Gautier, his striking is fucking scary. Again, he's a literal mini middleweight Francis fucking Ngannou. The guy is built, he's powerful, he's dynamic, and the dude hits, in the words of Dana White in Prime 2020, he hits like a fucking truck. So Gautier is going to be my pick here. There's a reason why he's such a big favorite. I feel like he's going to be able to get a round 1 or 2 finish over Robert Valentin, but I don't know, man. There could be a fucking world where Gautier is going to keep on tearing through guys, but there is one day, somewhat fucking soon, where he does get fucking exposed on the ground or just in terms of an experience gap. But I feel like Gautier, man, his striking is so fucking there right now. He's riding a lot of momentum and hype. Not too much experience in the UFC, but he's going to continue to build it up. And Robert Valentin, man, is fighting for his fucking career here, because if he goes 0-3, there's a chance he might get fucking cut. So he's got to represent fucking Switzerland and put everything on the line here. But I just see Gautier being too fucking much, hitting too fucking hard, and just being the younger, hungrier fighter here, man. So I'm going with Gautier by a round 1 or 2 finish here, man. Moving on up next to Francisco Prado, the Argentinian, taking on Nicolau Verentennikov. And I botched the fuck out of that last name. I understand that. But my pick here is going to be Francisco Prado, man. Both these guys seem like they're genuinely fighting for their careers in the UFC. You have a guy like Francisco Prado who's only won 1 fight and he's lost the other 3. And you have a guy like Verentennikov who's just 0-3 in the UFC. And one of those performances isn't even really in the UFC. It's a 2021 Dana White Contender Series appearance. So there's not a lot of momentum on either side right here. But at least for Prado, there's a lot of promise. He's the younger fighter. He's a promising striker. He's a pressure fighter that loves early chaos and the early goings of the fight. And he doesn't have too much experience. He can fade as the fight kind of drags on. He can be a bit wild and reckless. But at the end of the day, he's got a finisher's mentality. Most of his wins are via finish. He's a very aggressive, entertaining fighter. He has solid takedown defense to keep the fight standing. And he's durable as hell for the most part, man. Like, it's hard to really finish the guy. Like, yes, dragging him out to a decision with someone with a bit more experience and who's a bit more well-rounded. It's been done multiple times already in the UFC. But with Verentennikov, man, I'm sorry for botching the fuck out of the name. It's just, you look at the record, you look at him being the much older fighter. He's slower in there, just losing more consistently and a bit more in dominant fashion. And over the last fight specifically, I forgot when it was or who it was against, but it seemed to be like he thought it was an early stoppage and then he shoved the guy afterwards. I want to say it was Austin fucking Vanderford. This motherfucker was trying to open up his third eye. I'm pretty sure it was against him and he didn't like the finish. And I thought it was a bitch move afterwards, to be honest. Like, I feel like it wasn't that early of a stoppage. At least I'm trying to remember when the fuck this was from, but you know what I'm saying. At the end of the day, Verentennikov, there's nothing crazy in his fucking skill set. He doesn't stand out on the feet or on the ground, and I feel like the fact that he's just going to be slower in there. I think his striking is solid, and he does have the size and reach advantage. He has a bit more experience, but the guy's just slower in there. He struggles off his back. He showed up late to the UFC, and sometimes he could be just a bit too cautious to where I think Francisco Prado is going to set the heavier pace and piece him the fuck up, maybe find a finish here, because he consistently is getting them, especially on the feet here. So I'm going to be trusting in the slicker, younger, and faster fighter who's going to be fighting for his fucking job here. Both these guys are in the UFC, and Francisco Prado. Moving on up next to the former co-main event, which is now not even the featured prelim of the fucking card here, man. As long as Big Marcel and ESPN has it right, this fight literally has been bumped down to not even the featured fucking prelim. Marvin Vettori versus Brendan Allen. The grudge matches of all fucking grudge matches. 2 iron fucking golems taking on each other here. I'm gonna be going Brendan Allen. And I'm pretty fucking confident in it, man, because Marvin Vettori, when you're getting 49-46 by Roman Dolidze in the big 2025, it's a rough look. And Marvin Vettori has just always been one of those guys, in my fucking opinion, who is a solid fighter. Like, the guy's a good fighter. His chin is one of the fucking best we've ever seen in UFC history. It's up there with Holloway, Cheeto Vera, Pantoja. It's fucking insane. But when your biggest asset and the thing that people really refer to you the most as being your strongest quality is your chin, I feel like it goes to show that even though that Marvin Vettori, he does have a lot of experience in the UFC and he is fucking well-rounded, there's nothing great in his game, and there's nothing that really stands the fuck out to make him that top 5 or 10 level. I've always been one of those guys, no fucking offense to, how the fuck is that even a question? Marvin Vettori, he'll slap the shit out of me, but I've always questioned how this guy even got a title shot. I've always questioned how this guy even got into the top 5, because the striking, it's alright. The grappling, it's alright. The cardio, it's alright. His chin is fucking S+, but at the end of the day, there's nothing in the game that is just really fan-fucking-tastic. I feel like getting a title shot over Kevin Holland, and just the fact that Adesanya was clearing out the division just escalated Marvin Vettori to getting that shot. And this guy really hasn't done too much in the UFC. He had a solid win over Paulo Costa, and the win streak that he did have a couple of years ago, or a few years ago at this fucking point. It's been a fucking while, but Marvin Vettori, he's getting older and older. Well, Jesus Christ, he's 31. I thought that Marvin Vettori was like 30 fucking 8 years old. No, he's 31. Jesus. So he's in the middle of his prime right now. It's just crazy, man. Like, the guy, I just feel like he's not quick enough in there to be able to hang with Brendan Allen on the feet. He's durable enough, but I feel like Brendan Allen is going to be the faster striker, the sharper striker. He's going to have, I feel like, just more to fucking prove here. Like, Brendan Allen is going to fight hungrier in there. I feel like he's going to throw a bit more output on the feet, and he's going to be the much more efficient grappler. Like, Brendan Allen, I could totally see taking down Marvin Vettori a few fucking times, maybe finding some kind of submission here. I mean, it is difficult to finish Marvin Vettori. That's the fucking thing. He is durable on the feet and on the ground, but at the end of the day, he's got 8 fucking losses, man. Like, again, I know that Brendan Allen has fucking 7, so we're dealing with these guys who have a shit ton of experience, but that also comes with a shit ton of losses. But I think that Allen is just going to be too much on the ground. I could genuinely see a 3rd round submission come from Brendan Allen, or just a 30-27, maybe a 29-28 fucking decision here. Like, the point is, no matter how he gets it done, as long as it's not some kind of knockout, like, I genuinely really do see Brendan Allen getting this one done. And Marvin Vettori, there's nothing that stands stands out in his skill set. I appreciate that he's at least being kind of fucking active here, and he's fighting right after he did earlier this year. That's fucking something, instead of just sitting on his fucking top 10 ranking for genuinely a year and a half. That was crazy fucking shit. But at the end of the day, I think Brendan Allen, I do like this fight. I do like that these guys are going to talk shit in the build-up. I like that there's a grudge match aspect to it. It sucks we're not going to see it on the fucking press conference anymore, but with these kinds of fights where these guys just fucking hate each other most of the time, unless it's like a Manel Kape versus Muhammad Mokaev, usually they're high-paced fucking scraps that end in some kind of finish, and it's just they're fucking talking shit to each other in the cage. I'm going to be going with Brendan Allen, man. He's the slightly younger fighter. I feel like he's going to be faster, and I just feel like he's much more well-rounded with more to prove. So moving on up next to the featured prelim, Kyler Phillips versus Vinicius Oliveira. Now, I gotta say this, man, not to push up my fucking glasses here, but I love this fight. I feel like this is a really good scrap, and I'm gonna be going with Vinicius Oliveira to get this one done. I'm riding on the fucking train, man. I've been sold on this guy. Looks like someone out of the Phantom Troop, but the dude has a crazy highlight reel. He's exciting as fuck to watch. Very high pace from the fucking start of all of his fights, but he has solid enough cardio to maintain that pace. He's no fucking Marab in there, but at the end of the day, he's huge for the fucking weight class. He's very dynamic on the feet. He's moving the fuck forward at all times, and he's in your fucking face trying to get you in the fucking pocket and knock you the hell out, and he has the power to fucking do it. Most of these guys' wins are via finish, and his grappling has just been improving so much even in the short time we've seen it in the UFC, because he's 29 years old, the slightly younger fighter here. I mean, they're both around the same fucking ballpark in terms of the age. Kyler Phillips is only 30, but Vinicius Oliveira, man, like his grappling has looked so improved in the past couple of fights, and I believe the last one specifically against Said Nurmagomedov, man, like Said Nurmagomedov, if anything, in the build-up for that fight, he was the slight favorite, and people were saying that, oh, Oliveira's grappling, he's gonna get exposed. His striking is good, and he's powerful, and he's long and rangy, but once he faces a good enough grappler, he's gonna get taken down and fucking submitted. But that was not the case, man. Vinicius Oliveira, he does have solid takedown defense and defensive grappling in general. He has a very high output on the feet. He hits fucking hard, and he's dynamic as hell, and he's very fun to watch. So I can appreciate Vinicius Oliveira here, man. Very impressive record at 22-3. Not too much experience in the UFC yet, but he's fucking getting there, man. And you have Kyler Phillips, 12-3, who is coming off a bit of a loss here against Rob Font. But Rob Font, in my fucking humble opinion, really is just that good. He's one of these like Dan Ige situations where I feel like I'd rate him a bit higher than a Dan Ige, but he's one of these guys where he's beating everybody else in the fucking division besides the top 10. That's pretty much it. Like, they just can't really seem to be the upper echelon whenever they face him. They give him problems and they make it semi-competitive, but they just aren't doing enough. But literally anybody that's unranked or anybody that's around like that 11 to 15 range, you got these guys like Robbie Font, Dan Ige, and shit like that that are shutting it fucking down and holding it down for the upper echelon of the division. And Kyler Phillips, losing him, man, it's not too devastating of a loss. Like, the guy was on a solid win streak before, but he's just not too active of a fighter, which I feel like holds him back. Like, I would like to see him fight twice a year, but he seems to only be one of those I show up once a year kind of guys. But it is what it is, man. Like, his grappling is fucking solid. His striking is solid. He's a bit of a decision merchant at times, but also he knows how to put in exciting fucking scraps. He has a high output on the feet. He's good with his takedown entries. But the thing is, if he's going against a guy who has good enough takedown defense, I feel like he's going to be able to get stuffed a lot of the fucking time and shut down. And if he's just playing it out on the feet in a primarily striking battle, I feel like that's clearly going to be advantageous for Vinicius Oliveira. So Phillips, he has a good chin. He's durable, and the guy knows how to hang in a high-paced scenario. He's a well-rounded fighter, but I just see Vinicius Oliveira walking him down on the feet. Now, Phillips, he's durable enough and has a good enough chin to where I could see him going to the judges' scorecards, but and I think his grappling is good enough to where maybe he can get a few takedowns in, and maybe he can efficiently hold down and control Oliveira on the ground, but I don't think he's going to be able to submit him, and I just think that Vinicius Oliveira's high pace and powerful striking and just being the more active fighter with more momentum on his side, I'm going with him to get this one done and slowly move up the rankings here, man. Moving on up next to the fight that's going to be opening up the main card here, we got Michael Johnson, the OGs of motherfucking OGs, taking on Daniel Zellhuber, who only has 2 losses ever. The guy's a slick, powerful fucking striker and is coming off one of the fights of the year, one of the best fights of all time against Ribovics at UFC Noche. He's finally coming back. He hasn't fought since then. And Michael Johnson has, man. He's been a bit active as of late. He consistently has throughout his career, but he's on a bit of a win streak right now. And the last win was at UFC Tampa, where he got a nasty fucking knockout win. So Michael Johnson is still in it. For this fight specifically, he's a massive underdog. He's going to be the older, slower fighter here. And therefore, I feel like I'm going to be going with Daniel Zellhuber. I feel like this is just more of Daniel Zellhuber's time, man. I appreciate the run that Michael Johnson's on right now. People forget, man, this guy beat big bad Dustin Poirier, but when you look at this guy's record, nearing 20 fucking losses overall, like, he's been beaten many times, he's been finished on the feet, on the ground, and even though a lot of those losses do come with just high level experience in general, like Michael Johnson, he's such a people forget, man, kind of fighter, because he has fought most of the divisions who's fucking who's. Now, granted, Granted, he's losing most of the time to them, but still, Michael Johnson, he has much more experience at the higher level than a guy like Zellhuber, who is good, and he does have a few fights in the UFC, and most of them he's won. Great performances in general. He's a great fucking striker, and is the much younger fighter here, but Michael Johnson, he's been around. Like, he's fought a lot of guys that are quicker than Zellhuber, and hit fucking harder than Zellhuber, and have gone farther than Zellhuber has, and you gotta consider, like, he's not unbeatable. He has suffered 2 losses in general, 2 losses in the UFC. I think Michael Johnson might be able to get this one done, man. He does have quick hands, even though he is getting up there more in age. I know he's slowing down, but relatively, the fact that this guy's fighting over the last cigarette at the cookout for the fucking Unks, I'd say that he's pretty fucking quick for all circumstances considered. So he does have a chance to crack Zellhuber. This fight, the matchmakers, they do know what they're doing. It's going to be a fucking banger. It's going to be a very high pace. Both these guys are fucking finishers, and I feel like at the end of the day, it's going to envy us some kind of knockout for this fight specifically, man. You got Michael Johnson's experience, sharp boxing, and explosive power, taking on Zellhuber, who's a massive frame for the division. He's the clean, long, rangy striker. He's composed and patient, but is still improving in there, and he still hits fucking hard. Like, he knows how to play it safe off the back foot. He knows how to be patient and technical with it, and he does suffer from a bit of low volume at times, but on the fucking contrary, man, he also knows how to set a good pace. Like, again, the fight against Rebovich specifically was a high-paced fucking back and forth banger that both these guys were willing to die over. So the guy knows how to hang in a dogfight scenario that I think that Michael Johnson, especially at this stage in the game where he isn't getting any younger and is still going to want to keep the momentum going while he can, because only a few more losses before his time is fucking done. So he's going to try and make the most out of it. This is definitely, I feel like, better caliber of competition than his past couple of opponents. So there's a reason why he is a massive underdog, but maybe there's a chance he gets this one done. But I feel like his chin isn't anything too crazy to where I don't think Daniel Zellhuber isn't going to be able to just fucking piece him the hell up. He's long, rangy, dynamic. He's fast as fucking there, and I feel like he's going to manage a high enough output to keep up with Michael Johnson, and is going to land the bigger and harder shots. So this is going to be a striking battle here. I think it's questionable that this is the fight that's opening up the main card, but let me fucking tell you something. It is going to be exciting as hell. I think you probably should have put somebody ranked in this slot instead, but at the end of the day, it is going to be a fucking banger. It's going to get the crowd excited, so it is what it fucking is, man. I'm going with Daniel Zellhuber via a 29-28 decision or a round 2 knockout. Moving on up next to Dan Ige taking on Patricio Pitbull. Now, thank fuck that this is not the co-main event. This entire card order has been a whole clusterfuck from the very beginning. We're having a different co-main event every day of the week, but I'm glad that this one just wasn't it, man, because I do like this matchmaking. I think it's very appropriate for Pitbull, and I think it's very appropriate for Ige. Patricio Pitbull 0-1 in the UFC going against Dan Ige, who's kind of a win-one, lose-one kind of guy, like I was saying earlier with I forgot fucking who, but he's kind of one of these guys that are shutting down all the prospects. They're able to hang outside of the fucking rankings or be able to be in that 11 through 15 spot, but they just can't really seem to beat anybody that's in the top 10 or that upper echelon of the division. That's kind of what Dan Ige is. You look at that 19-9 record versus Patricio Pitbull's much more experience and 36-8, and you think, oh shit, Dan Ige, man, he's getting beat a fucking lot. But at the end of the day, man, his losses really are only to the elite of the division. I don't hold it against him too much, but I also don't exactly think that Dan Ige is ever going to be like that championship material level fighter, but he's still good and well-rounded at the end of the fucking day. His offensive grappling isn't anything too crazy, but he's got solid takedown defense. He's a solid striker with a durable as fuck chin. It's really hard to finish Ige, I feel like, but the guy is able to hang in the pocket with most guys. He was able to take a couple of rounds off of Diego Lopez and Lerone Murphy, these young, hungry prospects that are on the fucking rise. So Dan Ige is still able to have moments against these guys, but at the end of the day, he just doesn't have enough to really put it all together. But against Patricio Pitbull, who's just getting so up there in age, man, he's damn near almost 40 years old, and Ige is only 33. Patricio Pitbull is the more well-rounded fighter. He's the more credible fighter, because even though he hasn't really had any fights in the UFC besides the one loss, a lot of people kind of rate the Bellator shit highly, but I just don't think there's anything specifically in Patricio Pitbull's skill set that's going to be able to really stand out enough to beat fucking Dan Ige, because his grappling is alright, his striking is alright, the guy has solid finishing ability, but at this stage in the game, when he's 38 years old and he's slower than he's ever been, and he's just not hitting as hard as he's ever fucking been, and his finishing ability is going down and down every fight, he's consistently losing. Even in Bellator before he got to the UFC, this guy was not coming in off of a fucking win. I feel like he's at the latter end of his career. Meanwhile, Dan Ige is going to be fighting for so fucking long that Max fucking Holloway's kid is going to be, and the Ferreira kids as well, they're going to be fighting in the UFC while Dan Ige is still around. So I feel like there's just more longevity with Dan Ige. He has much more high level UFC experience, whereas Patricio Pitbull's high level experience, is just from beaten the top Bellator dog. So there's a clear difference there. So even though Ige has kind of been losing a bit more consistently, Patricio Pitbull is just fighting much lower caliber of competition. So I think Dan Ige is going to be too much here. I feel like he's going to be throwing higher output on the feet and being able to find all the right shots against Pitbull. I don't think he's going to be afraid of the power that Pitbull has on the feet or is going to be hesitant to get in the pocket with him. I think Ige is going to be high pressure and high paced from the fucking start, and he's a good enough striker to where I could see him piecing up Pitbull. Pitbull's grappling is good enough to where, and he has solid enough cardio to where, you know what, maybe I could see him taking a round off of Ige, maybe even winning the fucking fight. He's only a slight underdog. I could totally see him getting it fucking done, but I just think that Dan Ige is going to be the sharper, faster fighter who hits a little bit fucking harder in there and has fought better competition, to where I really do think it's realistic for Dan Ige to be able to get a late TKO over Patricio Pitbull, maybe like a third round TKO, which I believe is what he did to Sean fucking Woodson. But Sean Woodson, that was a solid win that he's coming off of, and Patricio Pitbull fought in the same card and he got beat the fuck up by Yair Rodriguez and really only had like 2 or 3 minutes total of a fucking moment. So at the end of the day, Patricio Pitbull, I just think it's one of those unfortunate situations where he just got to the UFC too fucking late, man. He's just older than Ige, he's slower than Ige, he's at the tail fucking end of his career, and I don't think at this stage he has the necessary finishing ability to be able to take out Dan Ige or really outwork him, outmuscle him, or put out a higher pace than him on the feet or on the ground. So I'm going to be going with Dan Ige by a 29-28 decision or a third round TKO. Moving on up next to Kevin Holland versus Daniel Rodriguez. Now, I appreciate that Kevin Holland is being active as fuck, and I can really fucking respect it. He's genuinely trying to live up to his promise of getting 6 fights in 1 calendar year. So it's fucking crazy to see. He's on track to fucking do it, but I just wish that he was facing somebody a bit just higher caliber of competition. Like, no disrespect to D-Rod at all. D-Rod, he's solidly entertaining, is a solid fucking striker. He used to be ranked. People forget, man, but I just don't think that D-Rod really earned the spot in the rankings, man. Like, he was on a bit of a losing skid. He got a good knockout. I was there fucking live. I appreciate the entertainment over Santiago Ponzinibbio earlier this year. So both these guys are fighting relatively active here, but D-Rod, man, like, there's just nothing that's really standing out in his game to be able to, I think, withstand a guy like Kevin Holland on the feet or on the ground. Like, Kevin Holland is really creative striking. He's got a big reach advantage here. He's the much younger fighter. He's sharper. He's quicker. He hits fucking harder. He's very durable as well. Like, D-Rod, what are going to be D-Rod's best chances of winning here? Like, really trying to get this one in the clinch and really trying to push him against the fence and really trying to just smother him in there and make him immobile on the feet and outwork him and just be able to outland him and get some kind of finish against Kevin Holland. It's just, I don't know what D-Rod's going to be able to do here, man. Like, it's just going to be a pure striking battle here, and I feel like that just plays into Kevin Holland's favor. And if anyone's going to have the grappling advantage here, it's clearly going to be Kevin Holland. I mean, submitting Vicente Luque is no fucking joke, because I feel like a lot of people are arguing that, oh, people forget, man, Vicente Luque's got the grappling advantage, and for Holland to go out there and shut him down on the feet and then shut him down on the ground and is forming a little bit of a win streak here, man. He just has so much more momentum in his favor right now going against D-Rod. He's finally earned his way back into the rankings. I feel like that Kevin Holland, the same version of him, shows up every fucking time. People are saying that, oh, Kevin Holland's on a resurgence right now. I don't think that's the case. He beats and loses to the same level of guys every time, and I don't think that D-Rod is on the level of like a JDM or an RDR or somebody like that. Like, he's around that Gunnar Nelson level, unfortunately. So D-Rod, he's a solid striker. He's durable in his own right, but he also can get finished. He can get outworked and outlanded, and Kevin Holland is just going to be the superior, sharper, harder fucking hitting striker with much more momentum, and is the more well-rounded fighter, and he's going to be much more willing to take this one to the ground and look for some kind of submission. So I feel like that the finishing ability is on the side of Kevin Holland, the striking, the reach and height, the grappling, like the speed in general. Like, Kevin Holland, I just feel like is going to have every advantage in the fucking world here. And for D-Rod, he's a solid fighter, solid takedown defense, solid fucking striker. He's got a high output on the feet, but if you're getting whooped around a little bit by, I understand, a very beefy and heavy and it was a bullshit situation, but Kelvin fucking Gastelum, I think Kevin Holland, it's just going to be one of the locks of the card here, man. Shout out to Kobe Covington, y'all, by the way. This fucking Twitch streamer who rejected the fight against Kevin Holland. That's the fight that we wanted to see. It is what it is. You could have done it after Holland's done with this one in the fall, but Kobe Covington, full-time fucking Twitch streamer. It is what it is, man. Kevin Holland, I feel like, is going to be able to make quick work of Rodriguez, and you'll see him fight again at fucking Chicago, probably. So, moving on up next to the co-main event. Paulo Costa, who got this fight moved from UFC 317 now here to UFC 318, taking on on Roman Kopylov, man. And my pick here, as much as I'm tempted to go with the plus money and Costa and have such a people forget, man, kind of pick, and it's like, oh, Paulo Costa, man. Remember when UFC was on Fox? This guy was an absolute marauder. It's a step down in competition to where, hey, maybe Costa can get this one done, but I just, unfortunately, my mind and my gut are telling me that Roman Kopylov, this fucking Ben Askren and fucking all the smoke MMA looking motherfucker, is going to be able to get this one done, man. He's the younger, faster, sharper fighter here, and even though these guys have similar records, Paulo Costa 14-4 and Roman Kopylov 14-3, and you could argue, well, not argue, it's objectively true that Paulo Costa has fought much more high-level experience in the UFC. He's fought the Israel Adesanyas and the Robert Whitakers and the big bad Marvin Vettori's. You know what I'm fucking saying? Like, Paulo Costa, he's fought the Sean Strickland as well. Like, he's fought these guys that are either fighting for the title or the former fucking champions, and unfortunately he just comes up fucking short every single time. Like, the only win that he's got in the past few fucking years, ever since the Adesanya loss, was a win over Luke Rockhold, which was a solid win. It's a solid name to have on your resume, but Jesus Christ, man, like, Luke Rockhold was genuinely on his knees for half of that fight and was just out of breath and just so fucking gassed. You could tell that he wasn't really putting in too much training for that fight, man, and he was still able to find a way to make it semi-competitive up against Paulo Costa, and ultimately Costa beat him the fuck up and won 30-27, but Jesus Christ, man, like, an out-of-shape Luke Rockhold as your only win when you're fighting even guys like Marvin Vettori once in a while, and that was a catchweight fight because Paulo Costa couldn't make weight. This guy, he's consistently pulling out of fights still, man, even at this stage in the game, and he can't really seem to find a way to win, and I understand that, again, he's facing really elite guys most of the time, so it's not like he's just facing the who's fucking whatevers, you know what I mean? Like, these guys are very relevant to the division, but Roman Kopylov, I feel like he's just gonna have so much more to prove here. The guy has a very high finishing ratio. He has strong takedown defense, and people forget, man, we even saw this guy taking down Chris Curtis 1 or 2 times, who also is a solid grappler, especially on the defensive end, when they had a really fucking fun back and forth earlier this year. So the guy has good takedown defense. He's a technical, dynamic, but hard-hitting fucking striker who has really efficient leg kicks, and the guy knows how to move the fuck forward and has a strong fight IQ and cardio to be able to maintain a very heavy fucking pace. He's an accurate striker and is going to be the more powerful striker here. He's going to be quicker, but I feel like if there's going to be any weaknesses here, it is going to be maybe the bit of offensive gaps in his wrestling, because like I said, that's been developing a bit. We saw that in his last fight against Chris Curtis, but mixing it up against Paulo Costa, I don't know if that's going to be what he wants to do. Like, are you going to want to try and expose Costa on the ground a little bit and take him down? Because I feel like on paper, everyone's expecting primarily a striking battle here, like a very high-paced war on the feet, a very high-paced back and forth. It's why a lot of people, me included, like this fight. Like, it's guaranteed going to be a very fucking high-action war. But for Roman Kopylov or Paulo Costa, who's it going to be more advantageous for to mix it up on the ground? Because they both can present problems on the feet. They're both primarily strikers, but the power advantage goes to Roman Kopylov. The experience edge goes to fucking Paulo Costa. So if Roman Kopylov wants to mix this one up, I don't think Paulo Costa's takedown defense is all that, or his defensive grappling is all that, to where maybe he'll be able to get avoided, obviously, getting fucking submitted by Kopylov. He's primarily a fucking kickboxer, but Kopylov, man, don't be surprised if this guy gets a fucking takedown in here and there. And for Paulo Costa, I'm going to say the exact same fucking thing, because again, both these guys are not wrestlers by any means, but if this is just one of those fights where somebody has the clear edge in the striking and the other one isn't liking what they're feeling, they might want to mix it up on the ground. I can see Costa fucking doing it because he's somebody who consistently keeps losing, and yet he has a very similar approach to every single one of his fights. So when you have a guy in these kinds of situations where they keep losing and they want to kind of change something drastically in their game, I feel like Paulo Costa, what he's going to do in this fight that's going to be different from his last few performances, is come with a very high pace and pressure right at the gate. Like, not point fighting, not staying on the back foot, not like letting his opponent kind of set the tone of the fight and the pace and kind of dictate where it goes. Like, I feel like Paulo Costa is going to be very heavily on the offensive end. I don't think he's going to be able to get a finish here. Like, despite the massive fucking build, he actually is kind of on the weaker end of things in terms of a power puncher. But I feel like if he has a high enough output and really gets the fuck after it and lands all the right shots and is the more accurate striker, or even is just throwing to the fucking win sometimes, if he's able to crack Roman Kopylov, man, maybe I could see him getting it done. Because there really is someone that needs to be kept into account for facing Roman Kopylov, who is an impressive prospect on the rise. He could be the future of the division, but it is a step down in competition for Paulo Costa, who is a guy who is getting a bit washed. And even though he's the same fucking age as Roman Kopylov, we're just seeing a lot less impressive of things from Paulo Costa, whereas Roman Kopylov, he's really only losing to like the fluffy Hernandezes of the division and shit like that. Other than that, man, he's making quick work guys or having nice back and forths on the feet, and he's constantly constantly evolving and improving, whereas Paulo Costa is fighting the same every time. So I think Paulo Costa is going to set a high pace and pressure from the start, and also maybe does try and mix it up on the fucking ground. Like maybe he will try and just have a whole different game plan from what we're used to here, and not just be point fighting and not just trying to keep it on the feet. Who knows with Paulo Costa? This is a very, he needs to win situation here, because if not, man, like Paulo Costa is either going to be cut from the UFC or he's going to be one away from that. So this is kind of a ride or die situation for Paulo Costa and Roman Kopylov, man. It's a very unproven guy versus a guy who's been fighting at the top tier level, man. And these kinds of matchups end up being sick as fucking hell most of the time here. We're going to find out a lot about Kopylov and Costa here, man. But ultimately, I'm going to be going with Roman Kopylov by either a late finish or just in general like a 29-28 decision. I think Costa is going to have moments. I think he is a solid striker. Both these guys are just going to play it out on the feet. I feel like it's going to be very high pace. Like Paulo Costa, when he wants to, he knows how to have a very high volume and a very high output. And Roman Kopylov usually is consistently that for most of his fights. So I feel like both these guys are going to be willing to get in the fucking pocket, aim for some kind of finish, make it a fucking war. I mean, it's the co-main event for the fucking pay-per-view, which I don't think it should be, but looking at the rest of the card, I don't know what the fuck else could be. So Costa versus Kopylov, I love the fight. It's going to be really fun. I really do like the matchmaking. It's a big step up for Kopylov and it's a big step down for Costa, but I think it's going to be a war, high-paced. I'm going with Roman Kopylov by a late finish or a 29-28 decision, man. And moving on, boys, to the main event, the highly but not highly anticipated Max fucking Holloway. Hey, it is what it is, brother. Taking on the last dance in Diamond Poirier. My prediction for this one, it's going to be a fucking banger regardless, but I'm going with Max Holloway. Like, ever since this fight was even announced, like, I understand that Holloway is down 0-2 in the trilogy, and against Volkanovski, his other trilogy, he's also just 0-3, so it's not looking good for Max, but I'm going to be trusting him to get this one done, man. He's younger, and even though he's stepping into big enemy territory here, Dustin Poirier, man, this entire event was built specifically around him. So God forbid he pulls out or some shit like that, but I think we're getting this fight. I think Poirier is going to be willing to fucking die rather than miss out on this fight. It's in Louisiana. The crowd's going to be fucking insane for him. He's going to be riding the emotions and the hype and just the momentum of his entire fucking career, and the guy's going to want to go out on his fucking shield. And you know, with Holloway, BMF title on the line, it's going to be an exciting fucking fight. Like, not to sound like Joe Rogan here, like, people forget, man, if your friends are casuals, tell them to watch this fight and it'll change their mind. Like, I feel like this fight, it is going to be really exciting, and it's going to be very high paced and primarily a striking battle, which plays into both these guys' favor, man. Like, if you don't have a guy like Poirier taking down Holloway, or fucking Islam Makhachev or Charles Oliveira trying to choke out Poirier, like, this is definitely going to play into both of their favors. Now, don't get me wrong, I can see if anybody's going to mix it up on the ground, maybe Poirier shoots a couple of takedowns here, but I feel like because the fact that it's his last fucking fight, because the fact that he's going to want to bring out that dog at Holloway, and vice versa, BMF title, there's a bit of a fucking something in the air where you kind of feel obligated to stand and fucking bang. And Poirier's had so many fun scraps, the fights with McGregor, the fights with Dan Hooker, the previous fight with Max Holloway. Like, this guy has been in so many back and forth fucking wars, and he's come out on top most of the time. So I feel like that this being that same scenario, it's gonna play into his fucking favor, man. Like, he's not gonna have to worry about the submission threat. He's not gonna worry about his he's not gonna have to worry about his takedown defense being there at all fucking times throughout the fight. It's just gonna be Max Holloway setting a very heavy pace, setting a very high volume and output on the feet, and coming the fuck forward, trying to dictate the pace and flow of the fucking fight. But at least he's not gonna have to worry about Max shooting some fucking takedowns. I'm telling you, man, both these guys are gonna want to die in their shield, and they're not wrestlers to begin with. They both do have good takedown defense, but in general, man, this is just gonna be a striking fucking war here. And when I look at Poirier's kind of more traditional boxing style versus Max Holloway, he has much more output and intensity on the feet, but Poirier hits a lot fucking harder. And also the fact that he's kind of just getting a lot more up there in age. He's not gonna be as fast as ever. He's not gonna hit as hard as ever, but I feel like he'll still be able to be in it in the fight to where he's gonna crack Holloway a few fucking times. I mean, even in their second fight when these guys fought a few years ago, like, when these guys were getting into the pocket with each other, Poirier was landing the better fucking shots, and even though the striking numbers were kind of close on paper, like, at the end of the day, Poirier was landing the harder shots and wasn't really afraid of anything that Holloway was throwing at him in terms of finishing ability. But I think the fact that Holloway now has been able to bulk up properly to the weight class, he's not moving back down to featherweight no matter fucking what. It is what it is, brother. Find out on July 18th if I'm gonna survive the weight cut, brother. But regardless, Max Holloway as well is not just a fucking infant in the UFC anymore, and the second time he fought Poirier, he definitely wasn't an infant by any means. He was literally the featherweight champion, moving up the all-time rankings, but he's still 33 years old. Like, Max Holloway's in the middle of his fucking prime right now. He's had a lot of ups and he's had a lot of fucking downs, but he's not just losing to fucking anybody. He's only losing to the Volkanovskis and the Poiriers ever since he fought Dustin Poirier for the second time, man. So Holloway's really come into his own, and he's looked good at lightweight in the meantime against Justin Gaethje, who's probably around a similar level of talent and skill sets as Dustin Poirier, and he was able to 49-46 cooks him and fucking knock him out. So it was a great way to set the tone for Holloway's move to lightweight against a guy like Justin Gaethje, who's been around the game for a fucking while. He's fought a lot of the guys that are already ranked at lightweight, so it was a good opening entry to the division for Holloway. It ain't no fucking Islam Makhachev who's just walking through everybody, so I feel like that's a good sign, because I feel like Justin Gaethje, again, he's a similar level of skill as Dustin Poirier. He throws about a similar amount of output. Their chins are pretty much comparable. Dustin Poirier's had a lot more experience in the UFC, but they've also fought very similar names. They hit about just as fucking hard. Maybe the power advantage, you could argue, can go to Gaethje, but they've still been in a lot of fucking wars. Like, they're very similar at the end of the fucking day. That's a big reason why people wanted to see Poirier versus Gaethje instead of this fight, and also the fact that they're 1-1. But at the end of the day, Holloway being able to beat the fuck out of Gaethje is a good sign going against Poirier. Like, don't get me wrong, I think Poirier should be, I mean, these betting odds, he's only like a very, very small favorite. Like, it's pretty much been a pick 'em in the entire buildup. I think those odds are fair. I think this is a very hard fight to fucking call. I think if the fight happened even a year or two ago, I'd be going with Poirier. A lot of other people would probably be going with Poirier, and I still think a lot of people are going with the fucking diamond. We all gotta shine bright like a diamond, you know what I'm saying? And we're all gonna be invested as fucking it. But this is just Holloway's time, I feel like, right now, man. He cannot afford to fucking lose here, because if he's 0-3 in both of his trilogies and Poirier retires that way, like, it's a win he can't get back, and Poirier's just gonna be fucking gone and bounced and living it up and selling his fucking hot sauce. It is what it is. And Holloway, now he's in a 2-fight losing streak, and don't get me wrong, it's to very elite guys, but now he can't get that win back against Volkanovski ever. He can't get that win back against Poirier. So for Holloway, this is kind of ride or fucking die here, man. Like, he cannot afford to lose the way Poirier can. Like, at least Poirier, he's in front of the hometown crowd. At least he's already established so much in his legacy. Like, beating Holloway a third time, it's definitely going to strengthen his resume even more, but it's not going to fucking make or break it and move him up on the all-time scale by too fucking much, or really hold the spot there. So it would be good for Poirier to get a win here. It'd be a great wholesome moment, the hometown crowd, everything like that. But for Holloway, on paper, man, like, he just cannot really afford this loss, especially right now, like, kind of losing all the momentum going against a guy like Poirier, who's on a fucking tear to become the GOAT right now. But regardless, man, Holloway, and people forget, man, he did look good in that fight. It was 1-1 going into the third, and even then, like, he was able to withstand a lot of the shots to the body and the head that Poirier was landing on him. He had a few spinning back kicks that he was throwing at Poirier, and just his takedown defense in general was all right. Like, Holloway did have moments against Poirier. He was taking a round or two off of him, but in general, Poirier was able to knock the fuck out of him in the third. And you got to start comparing, is the power of Poirier going to be able to be more than Poirier? I don't think so. Like, if Poirier and Poirier fought, I'd be very fucking curious to see how that goes, especially just a striker versus striker battle. But Poirier fought Holloway already, and even though he finished him the first time, the second fight when Holloway was really coming into his own, his chin, I mean, it's one of the best we've ever seen in the UFC. Even though Poirier was piecing him up that entire fucking fight, and Holloway did have a few moments, he made the striking competitive at times, but ultimately Poirier was landing the bigger, harder fucking shots, had a bit more output, a bit more urgency, was cracking Holloway. But Holloway's chin is made out of fucking iron like a golem, son, and he was able to withstand Poirier's biggest shots. I feel like even though he's coming off a knockout loss specifically, I don't think Holloway's chin is just going to be fucking ruined, or that's a sign of his decay. Like, I think that just goes to show how hard Poirier fucking hits. So I think Holloway's chin is going to be able to hang with Poirier's biggest shots, and with Poirier's chin, he also is durable as fuck. And Holloway, like I said, he's been developing in the power lately. He's been properly bulking up to 155. He knocked out TKZ and Gaethje and was able to give Poirier trouble on the feet. But in general, I feel like Poirier has fought a lot harder hitting fucking guys. So I don't think Holloway's power and his precision, and even though he has an insane amount of volume and output, it's not going to be anything that Poirier hasn't seen before. Again, he's already fought Max before, and even though this is going to be the best version of Max Holloway that shows up for Poirier, it's going to be the quickest version of Max. It's going to be the most experienced. It's going to be the one who is the most used to and bulked up to 155 and prepared for it. This isn't any short notice fight, and Khabib's waiting for the winner after this for 2 weeks for Max Holloway. You know what I'm saying? So this is going to be the best version of Holloway that has ever showed up to face Dustin Poirier, and arguably it could be one of the best versions of Holloway that we've ever fucking seen. Like, Holloway does not lose back to back, man, and he has so much more to prove. I feel like he's the faster fighter here. He throws much more output, and even though he doesn't hit as hard, if he's able to land all the right shots and isn't afraid to get in the pocket with Poirier, follow through with his combinations and move the fuck forward and set a heavy pace throughout the fight, I feel like he's going to be the more accurate and quicker striker. And even though he doesn't hit directly as hard, I feel like if he's just throwing combination after combination and is following through with it, eventually it could rock Poirier, especially since he isn't getting any older. Now, again, Poirier, he is still in a great version of himself. The version of him that showed up to face Makhachev a year ago was one of Makhachev's, if not Makhachev's the most difficult fucking test for a title defense besides Volkanovski. So that says a lot, but regardless, it's still been a year since he last fought in the cage. He's 36 or 37 years old right now. Holloway's 33. And even though Poirier has so much experience as well, and he's been in a bunch of dogfights, he has a good chin, he's a great, powerful boxer who's one of the best fighters of all fucking time to never win an undisputed title, I still think that Holloway is also a legend of that status, if not above. So I think Holloway's the guy worthy of being able to finally beat Dustin Poirier here. I think he's going to set a heavier pace, land the bigger shots, throw more output, and just has more to prove, to where I could see Max Holloway getting a 4th or 5th round KO or TKO, or winning a 48-47 decision. So I love Poirier, shine bright like a fucking diamond. I'm going to be loving the videos of everybody singing that fucking song and making the memes out of Poirier for his retirement fight. I'm going to love it, but at the end of the day, and respect to Dustin Poirier, a legend of the fucking game, but I'm going with Holloway to be able to beat him by a late TKO or a 48-47 competitive decision to take the main event for this fight, man. And moving on now to the blanks of the card, man. We got the underdog of the card, the locks of the card, the wild card of the card, and the card rating. What am I going to rate this card from 1 to 10? All these are pretty self-explanatory here, but I'll get to it as I get to it. Just starting off with the underdog of the card here, man. We're coming off a good one from Jake Matthews from the last card, but the problem here is that how this one works is that I picked the best underdog pick I've chosen on the card, but I don't have fucking any, man. I didn't pick any underdogs for this card. So unfortunately for this week in this prediction video, man, I'm not going to be including one. I don't even know which underdog I feel like just sounds the best, or I feel like has the best chance of winning when I'm really looking at them all. I know that some underdogs are going to fucking win. I understand not every favorite's going to win on the fucking card. When I'm looking at these ones, who has the best chance of getting it done, I don't fucking know, man. Like maybe Dustin Poirier, maybe Paulo Costa, maybe some shit like that, the big bad Daniel Rodriguez, but unfortunately for this week, y'all, I do not have an underdog of the card. I apologize. Moving on to my locks of the card, I got a lot of them for this card. Which fighters do I believe are not motherfucking losing? Which ones do I believe have the absolute best chance of getting it done? And I'm the most confident in these picks. So I just got to immediately start with Kevin Holland to beat Daniel Rodriguez. I'm going to throw Brendan Allen in to beat Marvin Vettori. I'm going to put Gautier to beat Robert Valentin. And I'm going to put Bruno Ferreira to beat Jackson McVey. So we got 4 fucking locks. I got the count right this time this week. 4 locks of the card, man. We got Bruno Ferreira, Gautier, Brendan Allen, and Kevin Holland as my 4 locks of the card. I'm the most confident in out of those picks out of all the ones I fucking made. So moving on to the wild card of the card, it's somebody who's being not very picked or kind of just being overlooked. And if they do get a chance to win, it would really shake up the rankings or shake up the division in general. It'd be a big upset. Who's somebody that's being overlooked and could really shake things up? The wild card of the card here, man. I'm going to put Paulo fucking Costa. Paulo Costa is somebody where he's a recognizable enough name to where a solid amount of people are picking him. But I feel like that's more so because Roman Kopylov is just a lot more unproven or unknown. Like Paulo Costa, man, I feel like a lot of people, I don't want to say are overlooking him here, but he's a plus 210. At the end of the day, it's a big step down in competition for him here. So I feel like he could totally win, but he's also being a bit overlooked at the same time. Like I'm going with Kopylov. A lot of people are going with Kopylov. Is this a situation where we're just forgetting how good Costa is and he really just has been facing the most elite competition? Or is it one of these guys that really just never belonged in the top fucking 5? We're going to have to fucking find out. But Paulo Costa is who I'm putting as the wild card of the card to possibly maybe fucking get it done. So moving on now to the card rating. Oh fuck, what am I gonna rate this one? 1 to 10. A 1, the absolute worst pay-per-view you've ever fucking seen. A 5 is average. There's some good fights, there's some mid fights, there's some bad fights. A 5 is just your average everyday fucking pay-per-view, and a 10 out of 10 is like a UFC 300. It's as best as it fucking gets. I'm gonna give this card a 4.5 out of 10, man. Like listen, like there is no undisputed title fight, but you don't even really need a title fight to really make or break the card. As long as the matchups are good and consistent, there's a bit of name value, but excitement, that's all you fucking need. And with this card, the reason why it's not going to be any lower than a 4.5 is because there is a solid amount of name value, even on the prelims and the early prelims. And another thing saving this card is I do think there's going to be a lot of finishes. I do think it's going to be a lot of excitement on the card. So those elements are saving it. But at the end of the day, man, when you look at the main card, and even though it's going to be a great fight, Johnson versus Zellhuber, and even though it's going to be a great fight, Ige versus Pitbull, and then it's going to be a great fight, but Costa versus Kopylov, these are the main card fights, and Costa and Kopylov is the co-main. It just feels like, even though the matchmaking is solid for this card, you also got Kevin Holland versus D-Rod in there, and you got Vettori versus Allen, which is going to be a great grudge match, and it's going to be a lot of shit talking. They don't even get a chance to do it because they're not even at the fucking presser. They're right behind the featured prelims. So I feel like the matchmaking, it's all right for this card, but it just is not that strong in terms of high stakes. Like there's not a lot of top 5 or barely any top 10 matchups here. It just feels like this card is going to be full of bangers. It's going to be full of scraps. It's going to be high-paced fucking action, a lot of finishes, but it just doesn't feel like there's that much on the fucking line. And I don't think it's just because it's only the BMF title on the line. I just think in general for this card, it's going to be exciting. I think it's going to be a good watch, but it's just lacking a lot of shit as well. Like the fact that this is supposed to be damn near $100 in the States is fucking crazy in my opinion. So it'll be fun, but it's just it's pretty relatively on the weaker end of things in terms of what a pay-per-view should be, especially in 2025. So I'm going to give this one a 4.5 out of 10, man. And that is going to be it here for this entire Yap session. I appreciate y'all for making it this far, man. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Which of my picks you agree with or disagree with, and which picks in general are you going with? Who's your lock and who's your underdogs of the fucking card? Let me know in the comments below, man. I would love to fucking hear it. And in general, thanks so much for making this far in the video, man. I really appreciate y'all. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you so very much for giving me your time and attention. Please give this video a like. Please hit subscribe. It'd mean the fucking world to me. But regardless, thank you so very much for just giving me your time and attention, man. I really appreciate it. Hope you have a good time watching the fights this weekend, man. Whether you're with your friends or whether you're by your fucking self, enjoy it. Hope it's a good time. I appreciate y'all. All the smoke here. Hope you have a good one.